here on GoPSUSports.com with Penn State head coach James Franklin. Coach, it has been a little bit of a minute since the last time we talked. So much going on in these last couple of weeks. How do you kind of condense everything that's happened into kind of, you know, a couple of emotions or a couple sentences in terms of what's been going on since we last caught up at Maryland?
Yeah, it's been chaos. I mean, literally, I just stepped off a plane, planes, trains, automobiles all over the place, trying to balance, you know, obviously practice, trying to balance final exams and our guys finishing strong, and then recruiting. You know, so you're running in 1,000 different directions, and then you also are trying to A, either keep the staff together, or B, trying to hire some new people. So a lot of different things going on right now, and you know, fortunately, I think, you know, for the most part, we've handled everything really well. But we're gonna have to finish strong. There's still a lot of work to do.
You mentioned some of that balance with the new early signing day moved up to December 20th. Does that kind of help this time, or what are the challenges in terms of kind of balancing, you know, how having guys stay focused to academics, but at the same time being able to manage all that together?
I think the December 20th has helped in some ways for staffs that are stable. I'm actually fine with that. I don't like the early visits that are going to happen next spring because I just think that's going to cause some real challenges with us doing a great job with our current players on our roster, as well as just our coaches having some sense of normalcy and some time with their family as well. So, you know, that's going to be an interesting part of it. I do think, you know, for the staffs that have had turnover and change, especially at the head coach's position, I do think it creates a sense of urgency, you know, some decisions that are probably rushed and those types of things. But overall, you know, I feel pretty good. For us, December 20th will be the signing day. We'll probably have, you know, maybe some action or some movement, you know, on the second signing day. But I think, you know, 90% or higher our class will sign on the 20th.
You mentioned keeping the staff together, obviously a few departures, but also an opportunity to welcome someone back to Happy Valley as well as make some staffing changes. When you think about the new changes that you've made, what's most exciting to you and you know, with the changes that have been made?
Well, for me, I think it always starts with getting great people, you know, and then obviously they have to have the talent when it comes to coaching and recruiting and relationship building. And they need to want to be here. That's another big part of it. And then people that I have history with. You know, obviously, you know, you're going to go outside of that circle every once in a while and do your research. But whenever you hire someone that you or your staff doesn't know, you're taking on risks. So when you got really quality people that are you know, in your background, you're reducing the likelihood for mistakes and things like that. So, you know, Tyler Bowen, who played for me, Tyler Bowen, who was a student assistant for me, Tyler Bowen, who was a graduate assistant for us, and then left to go to Fordham as the O-line coach, and then as the offensive coordinator, and then at the University of Maryland, where he graduated from as the offensive line coach. To be able to get him to come back as our tight ends coach, I think was a huge get for us. Him and his wife, Ginny, who are awesome. She was an All-American swimmer at Maryland. So, you know, getting those guys, you know, me and Matt Limegrove were just talking about it. I mean, it's in a lot of ways, it's almost like he never left. He was able to go out and gain some more experience, but he knows our staff, he knows our players, he knows our system, and he's got a very, very bright future as a coach. So we're fortunate to have him.
Moving off of the staff a little bit, obviously end of season, a time for awards, honors, recognition. Saquon Barkley, a name popping up so much. Penn State's 42nd consensus All-American. I ask you this all the time, but you know, what kind of impact has he had on a team like this team?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if you can necessarily, you know, even put it into words. Mm-hmm. I wish I could articulate it in a way that everybody that's watching could understand. Obviously, talented football player, as good as I've ever been around. I think he's got a very bright future, you know. But I also just think, you know, the example that he set for high school players in the state, for kids in this community, for players on our team about how you handle success, you know, how you treat people, what type of teammate you are, how coachable you are. He's a guy that I think, you know, is really a model in terms of coming to Penn State, embracing all the opportunities that this community presents presents for our students as well as student athletes, and then also taking advantage of all the resources. And he's a guy that really has maximized his time here, and every day that we have with him, we're going to cherish, no different than the rest of our players. And I hope we have him for a lot longer, but we'll see how that plays out.
And then turning the focus, obviously, toward the Fiesta Bowl, an exciting opportunity, being able to spend the holidays out in the desert. But what is this experience going to be like? What are you hoping, that the guys can take away from this, and especially the staff and their families as well?
Well, when you said out in the desert, I just envisioned us having practice, in the Sahara. But yeah, I think, obviously, whenever you're able to go to a bowl game, number one, it's a blessing. It's an opportunity to keep the family together for a little bit longer. It's another opportunity to play a game, and we don't have many games in our sport like other sports. And then obviously, whenever you're able to do it, when it's a New Year's Six bowl game, there's not too many programs in the country that have been to back-to-back New Year's Six bowl games, so we're very appreciative of that. Our guys have worked very hard for the opportunity, and it's not bad. I've talked to some people that last year on Christmas Day they were getting in a pool, so that's not a bad thing as well. So I think it's an excuse for Penn State families and alums and just fans in general that it's an excuse to get away and have a little family time and a little vacation and watch Penn State football. What's better than that?
No, not much. I'm curious about the schedule, though. When do bowl practices begin? I know you got to finish up here, finals a little bit, but how nice is it to be able to kind of just be football only? How do you kind of work on that schedule, especially managing travel plans as well? Yeah,
it's kind of a mix. During exam week, we pretty much take that whole week off. But besides that, we're kind of practicing. Basically Friday and Saturday we had some developmental practices, which I thought was really good. It's our graduate assistants run those practices with the non-travel guys that we call it. Basically our third and fourth team guys. And it's been really good. It's good for our GAs to have an opportunity to coach. It's good for the young guys. And then as the game gets closer, we have more and more of what I would call a traditional type practice. So I like where we're at. I think it's also been important. Some guys, as the season goes on, they're banged up, and get them back healthy. They've still been lifting and working out and all those types of things as well. So I like where we're at, but we still have a lot of work to do because we're playing a really good football team.
Speaking of that really good football team, as a staff, when do you guys kind of jump into that game planning aspect of it? And maybe what are some of your early thoughts, on what you've been able to gather so far? I know you're probably not spending a lot of time watching them so far.
Yeah, for us, as soon as we find out that we're playing the University of Washington, that's when it begins. So our graduate assistants have been breaking down all the tape and getting everything into the computers, and our cut-ups into the video system as well. So we're very far along in that process. But last week we had the coordinators off the road for a couple days while they were in the office, coming up with some of the initial game plans, some of the assistant coaches as well, and then we'll just continue to kind of keep ironing that out. So by the time we get to our what I would consider a bonus game week, so our normal traditional game week, plus a few extra days here before we leave, specifically on Washington. So I think we're in a pretty good place right now, and our GAs do an unbelievable job, and Jevin and his whole staff are getting all that stuff kind of ready for us to go so we can be really efficient.
Oh, we'll catch up with you again soon in Arizona.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.